right, welcome. Good afternoon, good day, good evening, wherever you may be in the world today. I'm starting to enjoy these after work drive home chats with you guys. If it wouldn't be 30 degrees Celsius inside the van, because I have to keep the windows closed. Other than that, I came up with a real good thought today. I've been thinking about this all day, actually, for the last couple of days. And I really would like to do an iron smelt here soon. The weather's way too hot, and I don't have enough iron ore put to the side yet. So, topic of today's little short video on my way home, because it's going to be a short video. I have to go do some shopping, so I'm not going straight home today, so I'm going to be going, which is about 3/4 of the way home, so we're going to have a quick chat. Importance of iron and its value versus the Viking Age versus today. Real interesting topic. So did you know the average medieval farmer or medieval man of that time had less than 3 kilograms of iron to his name, which is not a lot. The average modern person living today has at least one automobile, which is about at least a ton of steel, which is, if you were to have a ton of steel or even a ton of iron back then, you would have been a very rich man. You would have been able to do a lot of things the general public of everybody else would not have been able to do. You would have been able to buy quite a bit of wealth with that iron. And most people today, they own at least one car. Most people do. And that's over a ton of iron there. Just imagine how much. And some people even own 2 or 3 cars today. So you just have to put that into proportion of how we've come such a long way from owning, an axe would have been a commodity. I mean, that would have been something that would have been handed down and repaired over the generations of like a heirloom object. You would have not just thrown it. If something like that was broken, it wasn't thrown away, it was repaired several times over. So that's a really cool fact. And not a lot of people know that. And if you look at an axe today, especially if I collect up old axe heads from the recycling place, and I have a corner in the basement that's full of old axe heads, and it's kind of sad because there's some real nice ones in there. I've sort of sorted through them and thrown out probably as many as I still have, again, because I can't collect them up all. I never have the time to actually restore all of them. But there's some real nice ones in there, some high quality axes, and one of the reasons I can tell is the good steel. We're gonna have to be very careful here. Getting on the Autobahn, I gotta watch out. This guy was gonna let me on. A good steel has a good ring to it. When you flick the steel with your finger, it usually has a nice ring to it, like you would see in a sword movie when swords fight, they make a singing noise. Well, a good axe does that as well, and those are the ones I usually tend to save from the scrap. I had so many axe heads, I had to throw half of them away already because I had just too many. So what I plan on doing one day these days is throwing 1 or 2 of those in the forge and actually reforging them into a big old bug just hit my window. Reforging them into some Viking Age axe head style. I have to pick one that's fairly close to the modern day axe, that's actually with the eye punched through it, with the eye of the axe for the handle, punched through, which is late Viking Age. The early Viking Age axes were constructed in a 3-piece manner. They would take a piece of bog iron or low quality iron that they had, forge out a flat piece, and then fold it around to make the eye, weld that, and then cut open the front with a chisel, and then forge in the body of the axe. Another piece was forged on, and then you would forge the shape of the axe to the point where you would be ready to forge in the high quality part of steel that makes the cutting edge. So it was a 3-piece axe, all welded together in the fire. Axe heads into something else. Yeah, I could. You can make axe heads into anything. I mean, if you have a forge, you can shape metal in any shape you'd like, but what work you want to do. You are most likely easiest, better off. You can weld. I've seen people make art out of old axe heads. They weld them onto things and make like little creatures and stuff out of old scrap metal. My intention is to restore those old axes or repurpose them into some other kind of cutting tool. I'm going to throw them back in the forge, like I said earlier, and try to reforge them into a Viking style, Viking age axe as close as possible. That's one of my projects I would like to do as soon as the weather cools down a little bit and I can do some more work in the shop. I'm actually planning tonight on going up there. I got my buddy Sven kind of surprised me. He wants to come by tonight with Moritz. We want to grill some. He's bringing by some special meat. He wouldn't say what it was. It was expensive, he says. So it's probably going to be some bison or some kind of weird exotic food to throw on the grill. And after the sun goes down, we can start the grill up a little bit with some small fire. I don't want to make fire too much because it's we have a heat wave here. It's really dangerous. But back to the topic: axes and iron. Yes. So in the medieval age, if you owned an axe, you had to think what went into making that axe. That's just an incredible amount of work. I'm extremely lucky to the point where I've been doing when the digging at my Viking camp. I've discovered that. Okay, Odie Flex. See you later. Take care. Yes, you're busy. That's good. Always stay busy. At the Viking camp, you guys surely know, you're familiar with, that I have a Viking camp. It's my property. I've turned into a semi-Viking camp. My YouTube studio, it's a multi-purpose terrain. I use it to grow my own food and my crops. I keep my bees there. And at the top is my YouTube studio, my blacksmith shop, and my Viking age-inspired camp there with my roundhouse and my blacksmith shop. Which in turn, the building isn't very Viking age inspired, but it's got a touch to it. I really do feel like I'm in the Viking age up there. Oh, welcome, Nick. I'm driving, so I'm just trying to peek over once in a while to the chat, short messages I can read, kind of glance at. I can't be taking my eyes off the road, especially because there's that radar camera again. I gotta slow down. So, what was I going to say? Yes, nails and axe. Even up to probably about the last 200 years ago, iron was, an extremely valuable commodity. That was still the labor involved in it was extremely gruesome. You had to really, the labor to make iron, to get the resources out of the ground, cost people lives, literally. And today we just use machines. We go in there with big machines, and it's like just dig a big hole. And we refine that iron in big factories, and most of the technology does all of the big work for us. We still have to do a lot of refining ourselves, but most of the heavy work that was done back in the Middle Ages is done by machines today, or by foundries and mass production. We produce enormous amounts of iron in short amount of time, and that's why it became so cheap. It takes a long time to make iron with the technology of the Iron Age. You have to build a Redenofen, what do you call it? I keep forgetting the word for that. An iron foundry. Can't remember the word. The pit inside, you have to have a ton of charcoal, and you have 2 or 3 people to help you, because you'll be running bellows the entire time while you're layering up charcoal and iron ore inside the oven to slowly melt everything down. And you have to watch the slag too. You have to add a special like a fine sand in there, which settles down and melts in the glass and separates your iron bloom from all the impurities. It kind of covers it from oxidizing as well, and pushes some of the impurities out towards the outer layer of your iron bloom, so that you get a higher quality iron bloom in the end, so that the oxygen doesn't burn up your actual iron in there and make pockets of impurities in there. Yeah, so it's an enormously laborsome process, even just getting the raw materials. And I've managed to discover some iron ore at the Viking camp. I have what's called bog iron, a form of it there. It's in the red sandstone, so it's not quite bog iron as you would know it from swamps. And I just watched a video. It was so amazing. It was so inspiring how they actually showed how bog iron was discovered. And now I want to go find some. I really want to find some bog iron because it's real close by here. I live in a swampy area, and the area that I'm actually driving through here on my way home is actually a really swamp, like a swamp that you would see out of a horror movie, like that type of old school real bog, like where you watch where you step or you're gone. There's an actual real, still like a real bog here. And I'd like to go and see, actually driving up to it right now. I'm entering that area where the swamp is. I'd like to go see if I can discover a real piece of bog iron to see if I can grind it up and make a high quality iron bloom out of that. I do have iron ore at the Viking camp as well. I probably, before I even go and do that, I probably will have a whack at it with the iron ore that I have. There's some real high quality iron ore. I've seen it's in the red sandstone, and it's you definitely can tell the difference between the sandstone and the iron ore. It shifted to next gear, due to its weight in the sandstone. You pick up one of these iron ore sandstone. These sandstones that contain the iron ore, and you really tell for the size that the iron ore is, for the size that the sandstone is, the weight of it is really much higher than it would be if you were to take a sandstone that's pure just sandstone sediments and compare the size. You definitely have almost twice the weight. And then you break open the sandstone that has the iron, and it's completely got complete black layer on the inside, which is you can really see the high contents of iron in the sandstone. Another test I'm going to do is take an extremely strong neodymium magnet and place it in a plastic bag so that I can later extract the iron contents off of that. Most of it's probably going to be hematite and magnetite, the iron-containing elements, alongside with some of the iron particles inside those metals. Because the iron isn't usually always pure in those types of deposits. It's a component of some other than metallic alloys in those elements there in the deposits. So I'm going to take a magnet, do a magnet test to see how much of the actual black sand is in the sand, which would be an even easier way to determine if there's iron is do a sand test. Now I'm pretty sure the sand test will turn out pretty interesting because I've already seen some of my equipment that has magnets in it get all of the sand on it. So I just have to wash off all of the some of my blacksmithing equipment that I have. I use magnets there to test for iron, test for the quality of the iron that I'm using, and for magnetism, check for magnetism at certain temperatures in the metal to determine when the good point would be to actually quench it in the oil for hardening. Well, making a Viking sword, I think if I ever do that, I'm going to probably use a piece of iron that already is somewhat shaped into the shape that I need it, like a leaf spring from a truck. Because by the time, it would take me probably 3 years to get enough iron to make a nice sword. So if I ever did make a Viking sword, I'd probably end up making it out of a larger leaf spring, like a high quality spring steel. First, that'd be a good steel to make that out of. It wouldn't be historically accurate from the material wise, but it would still be a very good sword. Now you could also take a bunch of, if you had an industrial blacksmith shop, thank you, Nick. Everybody smash the like button like a berserker. Because I'm almost at the grocery store now. I'm going to have to end the live stream here within the next 2 minutes, but I just wanted to check in with you guys with a couple of facts and a couple of cool things that are coming up and that I really have on my mind. I have so many cool projects planned. I just don't have the time. I'm just getting off work now, and by the time I get home, I won't have any energy to do anything else. I'm waving at the guy from the construction place. I won't have any energy to do much of anything else. And so I gotta go shopping now for the weekend, groceries and all, and then I have to go up, feed Pooh Bear, and then go to the Viking camp, clean up and prepare for my visit tonight. I'm getting Sven and a buddy of his are coming over. We're gonna grill some meat, some special treats on the grill, and hang out and have a good time. Life is short, and I don't get to see my good friends too often these days. And yeah, I'm real happy about that. Actually, I gotta go pick him up tomorrow morning. His visit tonight's kind of a surprise. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to doing an iron smelt, making an iron bloom, and then actually forging probably some nails and a small knife and something really cool, and testing out how good the quality of the iron is that I have up there. There's not a lot of surface area left that I can actually dig up. So I'm really excited to get as much of that ore out as I can. Besides the fact that I have some real nice red jasper up in there, and I'm really collecting up as much of that as I can as well, because it's a beautiful gemstone, and I have some real nice big pieces of it. I managed to discover a nice big piece yesterday just by chance. I wasn't even digging for jasper. I was just using the Bobcat to level out some of the terrain that I'm landscaping. I'm still landscaping some of my surface area up there. I still have just a little bit of work to do with landscaping out the rest of the steep. There's a steep section of the hill there. It's grown over with brambles and who knows what that I can't use for farming or for my YouTube studio or for the infrastructure of the Viking camp, and I'm basically just paid for and I can't use. So I'm excavating that out, and I'm landscaping the rest of the camp to the best possible solution that I can come up with the space and of the earth that I'm moving, so that we can use that and utilize that area and the resources that I'm pulling up out of the ground, which is really exciting. All right, I've arrived at my destination. I now have to find a parking space in the shade so that Pooh Bear doesn't get fried. All right, I think I found a good spot right here. Okay. All right. Speaking of axe, my axe, I turned the engine off to save the environment. My axe is getting rusty. It's probably time that I give it another quick. You guys check this out. I don't know if you can hear that. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's a good quality piece of steel right there. That's how you can, that's how I pick. Well, most of them are so rusty that they don't probably sing. You have to get the rust off of them a little bit. I use a soft disc for the grinder to do that. It's like a foam disc. So I don't take off any of the metal. So I can see if there's any cool historical markings on the axe. Make it see if it's a real collector piece or not before I do any work to it. All right. So everybody, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, being part of this awesome community. And who's that? Okay, thought I knew that guy. Yeah, I enjoyed the drive. I'll check in with everybody else. I'll check my comments there later and see what you guys posted. I'm trying to drive and pay attention to the road. But that'll be all for today. So like always,